Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki, and in my last video we made this very cute two-sided junk journal page that I will be sending off to my swap partner for this month. Every month we have to make a specific item/items and we send them off to our partner. For the first half of this year, we're making these pages inspired by Pink Monarch prints. And when we all have all our pages, we will be putting holes in them and then simply joining it all together with these rings. So it is one of the easiest ways to make a journal. You don't have to sew or do anything like that. So this was page 4 and page 5 that we made. In my previous videos, I did 1, 2, 3, and 4 for a different swap partner. If you'd like to have a look at those or find some ephemera making inspiration, I have a junk journal collab playlist, and it has 2 and a bit years worth of things that I have had to make for my swap partner. So if you're a bit down on ideas, that is the place to go. So we're going to put this aside, and now we're going to make the next one. So what do we need? Well, the very first thing we need is 8 inches by 7.5 inches. And even though I live in Australia and we use metric, I am making these in inches because honestly 15.35 centimeters is just all too hard for my brain. So I'm going to follow the rules and just do it in inches. And of course we fold this over in half. If you use paper that is plain on the inside, that's not a problem because we're going to be gluing all this together. So try and use something a little sturdy. This is matte photo paper that I printed this on because I didn't have anything in my stash that matched the theme I was going for. So I've just printed this out, and matte photo paper is pretty strong. And because it's being glued together, that's great. But I think normal photocopy paper might be a little bit too flimsy. So grab some cardstock, especially if you've got one that's pretty on one side but really ugly on the other. Doesn't matter what's on the other side, no one's going to see it. So, of course, I have folded it in half, and in this case, I have already inked my edges. Now, for this side, the next thing we need is very simple. We're going to add 2 belly bands, and these belly bands are 4 inches across and 1 inch deep. And you can make them out of the same paper if you want to, scraps from your cutout base. You can put something really contrasting. That is completely up to you. It just depends on what style you want to go for. I've gone with everything with lots of soft pink for this. The lady I'm swapping with does love vintage things, so I went through my stash and I found a few really pretty pieces, and they have pink on it. So I'm just going to stick with that. Of course, I have inked the edges as well. And very simply, we just have to glue these down. We don't need a lot of glue. I try not to use too much because then when you press it down, you get glue sticking out the edges and glue heading further in under the belly band, and you lose the size of your tuck spot. So I just put a little bit on. Now, I did make a couple of marks just to sort of give me a ballpark of where these are to go. So we're going to put one about here. And we see how it nestles perfectly in there. And then we have the next one. And of course, careful if you're using something that has a pattern on it. You don't necessarily want to glue that upside down. And then, oh, no, that's the right way. Perfect, because I've got some numbers on this, so I want to make sure they're in the right spot. Oh, Nikki, come here, you naughty thing. That's okay. Done. So that's our belly bands down. Now we're going to add a little bit of decoration, just very, very simple things. I fussy cut 2 flowers and I inked around the edges, and I'm just going to add these. Now what I'm just going to do is just run some run some glue down the center of my flowers. I don't want to add glue all over because I don't want to accidentally glue my belly band down. So if we just put some glue down the center, we don't have to worry about accidentally gluing things we shouldn't. Now, does this sort of have a right, or yes, I think it probably goes like that. So again, we're just going to put a little bit of glue down the center and add that. And I'm putting them both to the left side, not for any particular reason, just that I don't want to hide those numbers. I like that. But you will notice I didn't put it right over to the left, and that's because we are going to have to punch 3 holes in here. Now, I am pretty sure the way I sort of measured this roughly, they should end up clear of this whole thing. But just in case, whoever I send this to, she might want to have all her 3s close together. Not a problem, but it just saves her having to try and punch a hole through this and this and this and this. You know what I mean? So I've just left them over to the side. Then the next thing we need to work on this side, and what we need is we need 2 pieces of paper. You can do them both the same, or you can do them in contrasting. I have done them in contrasting simply because I didn't have enough to do them both the same, and then I went, you know what, I don't think I want them the same anyway. So I found these in my stash. Now, they both started life exactly the same size. So that is 7.5 inches down and 2.25 inches across. And then with this one, all I've done is I have scored in down here. That's about 1/2 inch. Don't get too paranoid if you don't get it absolutely perfect. It does not matter. And you're going to fold it over, and in this case, of course, I have inked my edges, and we are going to attach this to here. So we're going to add some glue, and then I'm just going to flip this around because I just want to get this really nicely on the edge. Go. So now we've glued that down, and what we have here is a lovely little hidden journaling spot, and this piece of paper I thought was perfect. This nice light blue, no problem, you can easily write down there. So leave that for now. Then we get to the next bit. Now, as I said, it started off exactly the same size as this, but what we've done is we're creating 3 pockets, but it looks as though, I mean, it looks like we've done 3 pockets because there's a little bit of a optical illusion here, but really it's just 1 piece of paper, and I had a 40mm punch, a bigger version of this that's 40mm across, so that's what I used. But if you don't have a punch, get a small glass, an egg cup, use the good old-fashioned compass, whatever, it doesn't matter. You just have to cut out your 3 divots. You can also make them smaller. A lot of people seem to have the smaller hole punches. They don't have to be as big as this. Make them any size you like. Then at the halfway point here, you simply fold this over, and I have inked the edges so it's very obvious where my folds are. And it creates the illusion of 3 separate pockets, but really it is not. So now we need to glue that down, and we are obviously just going to add glue all around here. Again, I'm not going to put it on too thickly because I don't want to, these are not big pockets. I don't want to have a ton of glue and then end up losing all my pocket space. And then I'm just going to put a few little dots. I don't need a lot of glue here either, but I just want the 3 pockets to be separated. So just a little light glue there. And then we're going to flip this around. And we're going to put this right on the edge. And just gently press it all down. And now we have our 3 pockets down the side. So now we need to do some filling and finishing. So over here, we need 2 little envelopes. Now, I have made my own envelopes out of coffee dyed paper. I just didn't want it to be too bulky, so I didn't want to use a very heavy cardstock or anything to make my pockets. I mean, my little envelopes, but use whatever you like. If it's a bit thicker, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. But I just went with this plan, and I've just made a very basic envelope. And before you panic and go, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do that, it's all too hard, take a screenshot of this. What I've done is I have all the measurements on here. 2 3/4, 1 inch, 2 1/4, 1 1/2, 3/4. So it's very, very simple. So I'll just let me hold this open, hold it still. So if you need to take a screenshot of it, please do. And then all you do is cut out around the edges. Envelopes are actually really easy to do. Now I just need to move this aside a little bit. And can I find an eraser? I can. I've got one handy because I just want to get rid of this stuff before I glue it down. I could have done this afterwards, but I'm worried I might forget, and I don't want that to accidentally be left there. So we'll just, that's why I did it in pencil, not in pen, so that I could show you my measurements. There we go. And then to put this together, all I do, this, of course, is a little bit shorter than this, so you fold that over. Then you just add a tiny little bit of glue. And I just use glue stick for this. And I just try and keep it from here down. This is just a tiny little envelope. We don't have to be too paranoid about it. It will stick together just fine. And then you simply fold those over. And voila, you have yourself a very cute little envelope. And then what I tend to do, because, you know, sometimes my measuring gets a bit bodgy, I'm good like that, I try and make sure these 2 match up, and then I just trim it if I've, you know, got a little bit crazy and not got it straight, just because I think it looks nice if those 2 match up. But that is not life or death. So now we have 2 cute little envelopes, but I think they need a little bit of decoration. So I have an awful lot of stamps in my stash. But you know how many stamps are huge, and I didn't want huge stamps on my tiny little envelopes. So I managed to find these 2 green ones, and I've decided, well, they're just going to have to do. I wanted something a little bit prettier, but honestly, I just thought a giant stamp on here is just going to look silly. So, I mean, I appreciate that these envelopes are way too small anyway, but I thought, you know, a little bit of realism wouldn't hurt, a little bit. So we're just going for these 2 little cute green ones that I have. And I think we need to stamp on, you know, this little posty wavy bit. So I thought I'll just grab this stamp out, my little ink pad. And when I stamp things, I like to put the ink on rather than pressing in, because I find I tend to get ink around the edges a lot easier. So I tend to just do it this way. There we go. Look at that. Nice little stamp mark there. And another one. Voila. I think that will do it. So let's just put that aside. And then I found these 2 little pieces of ephemera. Honestly, with these jobs, I've had to dig through the stash to find cute little bits. But I thought a little mini journaling card in each of these envelopes is perfect. So that's what we're doing. This one I had, the other one I ended up cutting off a larger piece because I didn't have any more of these, and I have no idea where that came from. So they're our cute little envelopes. And now we can bring this back over, and then we just gently tuck them in, and I'm not going to tuck them in fully so that our little stamp and that can stick out the top. Of course, if you want to get more elaborate with these, by all means do. Completely up to you. But I think that looks very cute, and I'm going to leave them like that. How about there we go. Now, a little bit of decoration on this, and I thought I'd do a little bit of layering happening here. First of all, I've got a little scrap of music sheet, and this actually has a little bit of music down there, so I thought that was a pretty good combo. And we'll just place that on there. I have, of course, lightly inked the edges. And I have another tiny little, this is just a scrap of book page. This is why I don't throw my scraps out. I keep a lot of them because when you're doing a project like this, it's so much quicker and easier to collate things than having to start tearing up pages. So we're adding that in there. And then I have this cute little sign I found on a piece of scrapbook paper, and I fussy cut 3 flowers. So I thought we might put these down, 3 for 25 cents, you see. So we just need a little bit of glue. Now, does this have a right way or a wrong way? Not really. Let's pop that one right there. Cute little peony. Can go in there. Now this one, is this going to be too big? Oh, not if I put it on that sort of angle. That would work really well. Okay, perfect. I didn't mind if it was going to hang over the edge a bit. I'm always partial to that. There we go. And then we might put this, yep, we're going to put it down the bottom. Oh, maybe not. No, I like it down the bottom. That's what we're doing. Okay. Perfect. All done. Now, you're probably saying, oh, this is so annoying. Look, it sticks up. Why does that happen? I don't like that. I don't want some things sticking up. Well, guess what? We have a magic solution for that too. We need 3 little journaling cards. And, oh, I realised I didn't write down the measurements for these. So, where's my ruler? Hang on a minute. I got it. Just so I can give you the measurements. These are 3 inches by 1.5. Silly me, forgot to write that down. Now watch this for a magic trick. You then lift up this pocket, except I don't have a long enough fingernail. Voila. Look. And then we add another one. I hate it when when I break a nail. It's amazing how handy nails are when you are doing things like this. You can lift up pieces of paper and stuff like that. But of course, this is the nail I broke. Not very convenient. And there, 3 little journaling cards, and look what happens. This stays closed. Very handy. Now, I also had a cut-apart sheet with these very cute tickets. So I cut 3 of them out, and I have just lightly inked the edges, and I thought we might add these in here as well. Why not? Voila. Let's pull this one over a bit. There we go. Ah, how cute is that? And I was going to add some deco on here, but I'm truly thinking I might leave it. I love these 2 images. I don't really think they need to be cut up. This one maybe, look, do we want this bit on here maybe somewhere? No, I don't think we do. I might change my mind and still add something to that, but I realise this just looks a bit stupid there. And I really don't want to cover those two up, so I'm more than happy to leave them. And as you can see, none of our decoration goes right down to the end here, because again, got to punch holes in it. If you, of course, are making this for yourself, make sure you remove any ephemera, just in case you accidentally cut a hole in it. We want to try and avoid that. And then all we have to do now to finish this off is flip it over and add some glue. And what I'm going to do, like I did with the last one, I'm going to add an extra strip of glue down here. And the reason why I'm doing that is that way it just provides a little bit more stability. The holes are going to get punched in there, and I think it might just help strengthen it a bit, especially because I haven't used the strongest paper on the planet. It's not really heavy duty cardstock, so if we can give it a little bit of a helping hand, I think that's a good idea. And then we just press this down and we have another page finished. See, they're very simple ideas, but don't they look really pretty when they're done? And we've got a hidden journaling spot. That's a win. So that's that one done. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments box below. And if you have a second, please give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. So until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. And thank you for watching. Bye for now.